Good evening tonight, and welcome to the November 17th meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Department. And we'll begin. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from last time.
Second.
A motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Juvenile detention. We let you go first?
Yes.
Okay. You must be doing something right.
I think so. All right. In front of you, you're going to have a report for October. And I was able to get September and October's rap sheets caught up. I'm going to be streamlining those reports for you so they're a little easier to read and maybe get all on one page. There's the only thing really of interest is that because it was such a short turnaround this month, I don't have all of the information as far as the checks clearing that I normally do. But if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
I notice you have the most average population that you've had in a while.
Yes, our population has been up.
Does that happen historically this time of the year?
No, everybody would love for there to be a pattern to it so that we can make better budgetary decisions, but it just depends on who's making poor choices and who's unlucky enough to get arrested.
We're entering that season of celebration, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Do you guys do anything different in November and December you do any time else?
We used to have a volunteer or a church that would volunteer to bring in special meals for the kids. We haven't been able to do that lately. The woman who was in charge of that has passed. We haven't had anybody else step up and take care of that. But the ABL is our food service company that the Correctional Work Center and myself share, and they usually do something a little extra special for the holidays.
Lynn, do we still have anybody from Nashville? How many of those teens that were?
We might have one or two left. We don't have as many as we once did.
Why don't you just mention about the yearly programming report, just a couple of things to say what kind of, education is what it is you're doing with them there.
So you want to know, or you're wanting...
Just pick a couple like job readiness, for example, that you have on here. Just what do you do?
The job readiness program is where the kids that are detained have an opportunity to sit in a class situation and go through a program that will hopefully give them information that they need to be able to go through the application process correctly, an interview process, and what is expected of a new hire in the real world. We just talk about things like making eye contact, firm handshakes, what to wear, what not to wear, things that you don't think that you should necessarily have to teach, but that it is necessary to do so.
So a lot of what you're doing is preparing them for life.
That's right.
Any more questions?
Move to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
I was waiting on you. So that motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Diddy. Okay. We go on to the pause report. You this evening, Mr. Gregory?
Good, you sir. For the month of October, we had 632 animals that came into the shelter. 33.1% of those came from county jurisdictions, 13% came from the city of Laverne, 37.8% came from the city of Murfreesboro, and 16.1% came from the town of Smyrna. We had 156 animals that were adopted out, 378 animals that were humanely euthanized, 56 animals were reclaimed by their original owner, 9 animals passed away in the shelter, and we had 46 that were other outcomes. It gave us a total out animals of 645, an overall adoption reclaim percentage of 32.9%, and the euthanasia percentage of 58.6%. When you factor in those animals that could be released back out, such as our wildlife, our live release rate total for the shelter was 38.6%, and 16 of the animals that were reclaimed by their owners were from our surgery programs. We had 101 animals that were left in the shelter on October 31st. 1,844 people visited the shelter looking for a lost or new pet, and we had 2,303 log calls and voicemails for the month. We had 1,798 calls that were received to the shelter and 1,829 calls that were able to be completed. You can see the breakdown of the jurisdictions of those. And for the month, we traveled 10,898 miles. Year to date, we've had 2,908 animals that have come into the shelter. Our live release rate during that time is 35.9%. We've had 7,766 people that have visited the shelter and 9,536 voicemails. 7,049 calls have been opened as being received, and 7,086 calls completed. And we've traveled 44,134 miles thus far. On our bite report, for the month, we had 42 bites that were reported. One of those were tested, did not test positive. On our other exposure, we had 9 that were reported. We tested 2 of those, and 1 of those tested positive. So our total for the year, as far as positive and unsatisfactory results, are 18. The one that tested positive this month was from the 8th, and it was a bat in the Blackman zone that tested unsatisfactory.
How'd you catch a bat?
This bat came out of the ceiling of this person's home, and it was believed that their dogs had killed it. It was deceased in this person's floor.
What'd you do to the dogs?
The dogs are under a home observation for the state at this point. Yes, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Gregory? All you had?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could a motion to approve the report?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just before you leave,
Yes, sir.
just an update on your new policies and procedures. Didn't have to send that to the state.
We did not have to send it to the state. We're working on now getting those printed, getting those out to our staff so they can implement those. We're probably looking at kind of a target date of being January the 1st, have a clean cutoff to implement those.
And the next step is to deal with the environmental court. Is that
The
something-
environmental court will be something that we put off. For the management staff, it'd be getting the animal offender class up and getting all that presentation ready so that when somebody is sentenced, so that we'll have all that ready to go. And then the licensing fees, Dr. Dills is going to be working with the veterinarians to get that going. That's why we wanted that kind of that clean cutoff of January 1st to start the new year fresh with those.
Are you happy with all that?
With the rules?
Yeah, with everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Let me ask you, on this, on your new handbook, will you just send me a copy when you get it
Yes, sir.
done?
I'll be happy to provide a copy to Miss Vicky to put in everybody's box.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, sir.
EMS.
Good evening, Commissioners.
How are you, Mr. White?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you. Okay, see before you our month for October. Number of calls were 2,256, which is up a considerable amount over this time last year. None of the other numbers stand out except for the 74% collection rate. That's a pretty high percentage collection rate. And as you guys know, we're usually 2 months behind in the collection rate because we'll bill out and then we'll bring in more from the previous months. Nothing stands out as far as the maintenance records on the ambulances. We did have to replace a transmission. It's about $3,000 or so to replace a transmission in that. The highlighted boxes that you see are our secondary ambulances, and that's why they're highlighted. Okay, nothing else stands out in response on zones. And anybody have any more questions about that first page? Okay. The next is our in-service and training hours. We did quite a bit of training over the last month. We've also done several REACT events and special events that we've covered. And I know that Mike has told you that we cover all the MTSU football games and those types of things. And so nothing really stands out as far as that goes. We're finishing up our officer down training that we have been doing for the Sheriff's Department and for the Police Department here in Murfreesboro.
I'm going to expand on item 12 on in-services and training. Yeah. Who all's involved in that?
Actually, we have several people involved. We have one person, Steve Hart, is working on our materials management as far as our...
What we're talking about is they've had some Ebola planning sessions. So
I field probably 10 phone calls a day on this particular subject, and we're working really close with we had a meeting 2 weeks ago with the police department. We had a meeting this morning with the fire department. I've met with the health department. So all the ones that are responding to calls actually have kind of a plan together and what we're going to do. The problem is it's a moving target, because every time we get a plan out, they change the rules on us, and so it's hard to get a plan out and then re-change the plan. The other thing is that everything now is on back order, 3 months back order. So we really don't, even if I put a plan out, said get into your PPE this way, I only have enough PPE to cover, say, 3 weeks. And so that's what the planning sessions are about. How can we get more? Where can we go? You know, what are we going to be able to do? The hospitals are working really close with us too.
If folks who listen to this telecast might be a little bit more interested in that, so keep us abreast.
I will do.
Sure.
I will do it. And you know, when we had the AIDS virus come through, that changed EMS forever. You know, we used to go with no gloves and goggles or anything else, and that changed us forever. This is probably going to change us forever also. You're going to see more EMS providers. We'll be doing some public service announcements, that kind of thing. You're going to see more EMS providers going in with the N95 mask, the particulate mask, full face shields, and you know, that kind of thing, just for flu-like symptoms, whether you've been out of country or not. Because A, it protects our guys from viral problems on top of that, and B, we don't know what they've got until we get in and do an investigation. Have you been out of state? Have you been out of country? Where have you been? You know, that kind of thing.
Fire department and part of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've also done some stuff with all of our first responders, which the county fire department is one of our first responders.
That process, the planning sessions and the telephone calls that you've been getting, are they related to what do I do, or have I been exposed?
No, actually, the telephone calls that I get are related more like, what is your plan? What are you guys doing? How should we interact with you? What do we do? The police department has been really big. Again, all of our first responders have been really big. One of the key things is just, if you have something suspected, is not to enter the residence. Let us go into the residence, because we're more prepared to deal with that, rather than say a law enforcement or a firefighter that don't have the PPE or the training to do that.
Because when those planning sessions are complete and you have, quote, a plan, is there ways to kind of reduce that to some visible means of communicating, like on Channel 19, that kind of
Absolutely.
thing?
And not only that, but you can go to the State Health Department website, and they actually have a chart that you can print that says, these are the things that you need to be aware of. These are the things to expect. So,
So we can expand it on.
absolutely.
Good, very good, thank
Are you
you.
working with the cities on this? Or are we all
Absolutely. We're
involved
working
together?
with, yeah, we're working with Laverne. I haven't touched base with Smyrna yet, but Laverne Fire, and he is actually working with the Laverne Police Department. And we're also doing Murfreesboro Fire, Murfreesboro Police too. I've had several meetings with them.
Thank you.
The next is our average response times per ambulance zone, and so there's really nothing remarkable about that. Our response time last month was 7.8, and it's 7.8 again this month. The next page is the Public Safety Report District Call Breakdown, and it also breaks down our transport teams' calls, Nashville calls, and so you can find your name and find out how many of your constituents we picked up. The next one is the same information except it's on a year-to-date basis. And I know that Mike Nunley went over what the next page was, and if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer. We did have a little computer glitch. The actual run number is 2,256, but it counted an other as an out-of-county too, so.
And where is it that you put Manchester when you get something like MTSU or Burton Street? It's out.
Manchester comes in, and you know that Publix that's there?
Rutherford.
Yeah.
At Rutherford.
Rutherford. That's where they'll sit.
So they,
Yeah. So that they can answer wherever.
okay.
And I think the rest is just thank you letters and attaboys and things like that.
How's your Yellow Dot program going?
Terry is doing the Yellow Dot program, and my understanding is we are now a distribution center for Yellow Dots. I think that they weren't expecting the response, and so we didn't get a whole lot of those, but there's been a tremendous response for it.
So the state's giving you...
Exactly.
Okay. I just saw that she
Had attended the
received,
meeting,
training for first responders. For,
Right, for Yellow Dot.
infants safe sleep.
Uh-huh, exactly,
Infants,
yes.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions for Mr. White? You have anything else? Well, I should say it this way. We have a motion on the report
I
first.
still want to talk about the report.
We have a motion. We have a second. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is that it?
Uh-huh. Once I get that plan, I'll try to get one in the email to everybody, okay?
Chief Farley.
The first page is just a year-to-date summary of total calls that we've had since January 1, and the total is up to 1,016 calls. Matter of fact, last Thursday night we had an unusual thing happening that I haven't ever had come in contact with. We actually had a structure fire on Manchester Highway. We just got through with it, cleared the scene, was heading back to the station, got a call for another structure fire, which is a home fire off of 231 Stones River Lane off on Ebb Court. So we had two back to back. So we left at 10 o'clock, got back 4 o'clock that morning. So my guys were pretty much wore out after that.
What fire departments were responding?
Rutherford County Fire Rescue, Christiana, and I believe Fossville brought some manpower up there. We also called in a tanker on Manchester Highway from Kittrell. Anyway, our total call volume for this year is 1,016. This report's a little short, which is only 3 weeks since our last meeting, so we've had 65 calls so far as of Friday. Last meeting, Commissioner Phillips asked me about our response and what time of the day. The next two sheets kind of show a breakdown from almost right at 1 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock the next night, showing our call volume, how it breaks down for the year. Some of, I guess the largest number would be around 3 o'clock to right up into no, actually that's 1 o'clock. Around 1 o'clock to right around 4 o'clock is the highest call volume up to there. But that just kind of gives you a breakdown of what the calls are and how they run through throughout the 24-hour period.
I suspected it to be a lot more evening calls, but it's just kind of spread out a little.
Yeah, it's kind of sporadic.
Except when most people are asleep.
Well,
But there's still some that.
the biggest
that's probably
majority
worst
of
one.
the largest majority of home fires occur during the morning hours, early morning hours.
Those two fires that you were just talking about, or just in general, what's the cause of most of them? Is it stuff like heaters? Or?
Well, the second call, the guy heard a loud pop, and he walked out in the garage, and over where his water heater was at, he said there was a fire. That was the whole corner of the garage was on fire. The first one was nobody was living there. It was full of antiques and stuff, and that's under investigation. The next report is the motor vehicle accident across the county. Since the last public safety meeting, we had 34 motor vehicle accidents with average response time of 9.9 minutes. As you can see, there were some of those were pretty serious calls. That's countywide for the MVA. Next report is kind of a breakdown of the training hours for the month of each department. I didn't receive a report this month from Meadville. They're required to have those in the first of every month, but I hadn't received one from them. So the total call volume then I may be a little off, but so far this year, the total call volume countywide is 2,337 calls. The training hours right there is just monthly training hours per department. The last page is just the document we send to the codes department for last month showing which structures had damage and they would require a permit. And on our training for the year, just Rutherford County Fire Rescue, we've completed over 3,089 hours of training this year, and those training courses covered CPR recertification, officer training, pump operations training, hazmat, live fire training, of course extrication, some emergency medical responder class we put on for different people to get their first responder license, and self-contained breathing apparatus training. We completed 2 rookie classes this year, 2 extrication classes, and of course one of the EMS class. We just finished up a rookie class last week. We graduated 20 students. We're in the process right now of a training class called Rapid Intervention Teams, and what these firefighters are going through is it's like 30 hours. They spent 11 hours on a training ground Saturday. They're trained to go in and rescue a downed firefighter. If somebody goes down, they're trained to go in and extricate that person out of the building. So that's something we get to a point we try to put all of our firefighters through as far as firefighter survival, and then give them that type of training, because when we are on the scene of a structure fire, we try to set up a RIT team. That way, if one of our guys do go down, we have people sitting there ready to go in and be prepared to, get them out. And that concludes my report.
On your training, are you able to train everybody that's wanting to become a firefighter, or do you have to take them in groups?
Well, the rookie classes that we put on twice a year, try to do twice a year, and the education is provided to every department in the county. For that I pay for that out of my budget. That doesn't cost them anything. We put on a EMR class, which gives them first responder license after the first rookie class. Of course, that's provided free. If they had to pay for that class, it would cost them about $300. So I have a paramedic that's in my department that teaches that free of charge to the firefighters. So everything we provide them is free of charge unless they have to pay for the price of getting their certificates or their license if they get medical license such as that. And then each individual departments will send them to the academy for their live fire training. But for the most part, we pretty much try to cover everything for them. It takes a lot of burden off the departments and off the people who are volunteering too.
Are you seeing interest in most departments across the county?
A few, not all of them. We have a couple of departments that always participate, and then we have some that don't participate. But we encourage and offer it to everybody. And I have also copy of the deputy mayor and everything I send out. I have a group email that I send out to all the volunteer chiefs, letting them know those opportunities. And right now in the RIC class, we have several of my guys, about 10 of my guys. We got some guys from Kittrell, and I think there's a couple guys from Mountville Fire Department in this RIC class.
The fire on Valley View Drive, was it the house?
I think it was, yes.
Those are pretty expensive ones out there.
Yeah. There's some very expensive homes all through this county now.
Yeah.
You realize that when you get out and start driving some of these back roads and stuff. I mean, it's pretty amazing to what we have out there now and what we had when I was in high school or running around. And,
Oh, not even that long ago.
yeah.
Move to approve the report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that all you have?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions about anything?
Thanks a lot.
Oh. What's the status of your new vehicles?
We've ordered a 3,000-gallon tanker, which will be in February, and then our new rescue truck and pumper should be in March.
How are you, TK?
All right, sir. You have my report in front of you. Since it's a short reporting period, it's been kind of quiet. We had no EMA call-outs to any scene for the past 3 weeks up until Friday. That's when the report ended. Doesn't mean that we don't help them on scene. A lot of our work becomes coordination. We'll get calls, say, hey, we just have a question, or we need for you to contact the state and get this rolling or get that rolling, so we do that. But we don't consider those reportable incidents. Just skipping ahead to the tower project, we're kind of in the final part of the first 5 sites. The Motorola has done most of the configuration. The remaining of it is supposed to be finished this week, as long as we don't run into a problem. Joe relayed to me one issue that cost him almost 2 days last week when some problems arose, and it came down to a plug where one of the pins was bent. And if you see how many not electrical, but communications plugins they have, finding that one bent pin is like the needle in the haystack. So that cost them almost 2 days last week. But we're hopeful that we can complete it all by the end of this week, and then they'll go into testing phase, which is nearing the end on the, like I said, phase 1. We're still making progress on the other 3 tower sites. They won't be as complicated as the first 5. So, other than that, we're still working through the Homeland Security grants. A few things are starting to slow us down a little bit, but the 2013 grant doesn't have to be complete till May, and we have every confidence that'll get done. And of course, we're working on 14. The only other things that are happening is y'all may be aware, may not be aware, but the town of Smyrna has signed up to do a prepare-a-thon March 16th through 21st, and we're going to help them with that. That's something that's new that TEMA is doing. TEMA Region 4 actually reached out to the town of Smyrna and asked them to put this on for next year. They did it in one town last year. Oddly enough, it's Smyrna, Georgia. So they're reaching out to Smyrna, Tennessee, which actually is they have a lot of commons, population-wise and such as that. So we're working with them on that. There's been a lot of planning meetings, as you can imagine. They want to get this done in time for tornado season. It'll be a week-long series of events culminating with a tornado exercise and what they're calling an expo, where the public comes out and do things like make sure they're ready for tornado season, program weather radios, that type of thing. In the short term here, we this next month on the 4th, TEMA Middle Region is having their quarterly meeting, and we're hosting it at my EOC. That's where all the EMA directors from Middle Tennessee, along with the TEMA staff that supports them, come together. So we'll have all of them here in one place. So just let you know about that. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything else for you.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maybe we ought to have 3 weekends in a row.
Nothing bad happens. Okay. Mr. Good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You got as good news as the rest of them?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd like to report, ending in the month of October, we had a total of 9 injuries. You'll see the breakdown there as you have in different categories. That brings the total to 181 for the year. 96 were OSHA recordable, with 63 restricted days, 21 lost days, and 14 all others. Of those 9 injuries, the total incurred dollars were $6,250. And if you look at the graph, you can see where it compares this October to the 2 previous years in October. And of course, it's also somewhat cyclic when you look at that. But in 2012, at the end of October, we had 175 injuries. In 2013, 156, and this year we're at 181. So we are up slightly, but let me just kind of bring to you, OSHA also looks at injuries against the total hours worked for an organization. And while 2011 is not on this graph, in 2011 we had 9,484,000 hours for county employees. In 2012, that went up to 9,661,000. That was an increase of 1.86%. From 2012 to 2013, went up to 10,022,000, which is a 3.73% increase for 2013. Of course, we haven't completed the year 2014, so we don't know how many hours we worked, but as you can see, with 4% this year, or I mean between 2012 and 2013, and then 2011 to 2012, 1.86, the county is growing, and the employees in the county is reflected in that. So,
A lot of that's the Board of Education.
well, yes, with the new school, absolutely. The new school, you can tell where it opened up. I'm sorry. Next page, Board of Education had, of those 9 accidents, the Board of Education had 8 of them, and of course their dollars incurred for those were $5,650, and the county general had 1, and that was $600,000. And the next page of your graph shows that that 1 happened in animal services, Paul's.
600. 600, as opposed to $600,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say 600,000? I beg your pardon. 600. Yes. Well, it's only 5,600.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
A lot.
Thank you. Yeah. And then finally, the last page of your report there, you'll see where we look at the total dollars as far as accrued, and in 2012 those total dollars were $532,000 by the end of October. In 2013 there were 247, and right now we're at 276,000. Of course, dollars this year have not matured enough and haven't settled down yet, and it usually takes them at least a year to close out a claim after it's been filed. So this year we'll have a much better hold on it this time next year, of course. That's all I have at this time. Are there any questions?
8 of the 9 injuries were in the school system.
Yes.
Are you part of their safety team, or do you do accident investigations with them, or do they handle it on site, or what?
A combination of all three. Yes, we do accident investigations. Dwayne Hawkins is the safety training individual that the county employs. He inspects all the schools at least twice a year, to every school in the county. Goes through and inspects them to OSHA standard. Consults with the principals and the custodians and the food service people, because those are where we have the injuries all. In addition to that, when they cross my desk, I also know when he's going out to different schools, when an accident crosses my desk, and I tell him about the accident, and he does the accident investigation. If he's, like he said, I'm going out to see Riverdale High School this week, and I said I'll pull up the claims that have happened in the last month or so we can go out and also add additional investigation of those claims, in addition to what the school does.
Cool, thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Good? I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's it.
That's all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
You must have been watching the TV.
How y'all doing?
You was the superintendent, Sandy.
Doing good tonight?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Gonna get home early, huh?
Try to. Start with the minutes from the last meeting on November 4th. Cover the expenditures, and everything was looking good with our expenditures. Mayor Burgess noted Dr. Rudd will be submitting a final bill in the near future for the medical coverage. We're still keeping a close eye on the SEC on the inmate phone systems, and the new legislation is going to come through. So far, the stage they're in, there's one input from all the different jurisdictions across the country before they make a decision on how they're going to assess that. Other business, I was part of that fundraiser for muscular dystrophy on November 5th. I think countywide they raised $42,000, so that was pretty good. And we had a prayer breakfast on the 12th, and a Thanksgiving dinner on the 15th, sponsored by New Vision Church for the staff. And Dr. Fee, President of MTSU, was the speaker for the prayer breakfast. And let's see what else. Talked a little bit about the census daily count. It's about a 150 average lately. And the 2 positions on the workhouse board, they're coming up for resubmission, and Mr. Hartley and Mr. Gammon show that it will be resubmitting their applications for approval, so that was discussed. Mayor Burgess attended the ribbon cutting for the Doors of Hope new facility. Pretty much that was it covered on the board meetings. State litter pickup. We collected $3,027.13 from the state, and that was for the month of November. Work release program is going along great. Currently we have 23 in the program. This past month, 1 was hired full-time with Interlap, and we had 4 had some policy violations, so they were addressed. And like I said, the average daily population October was 174. Average work crews was 74 going out every day. The GED high set program is going great. monthly worker report saved the county $145,889 for the month of October.
Any questions?
Superintendent, you mentioned 2 people who have applied for the, to be
For the board, the
board.
courthouse board.
Is that the only ones? That
Well, they are already currently on the board. So
Right.
they just, that's
Okay.
as far as we know, right?
As far as you know, so they hadn't contacted you or talked to you?
Anyone else interested? No.
Okay.
And they go through the steering committee.
Steering committee, right.
Steering and mayors.
And that they'll have to fill out the regular county
Paperwork.
submission for what they have. That's a pretty high amount of GEDs, isn't it? It's about roughly a little over half of them now. I think you got 96 involved in it this month.
That was total,
Like
like,
this
I guess they count in the days, like,
Oh.
each class at a time. But the program is going great. There's a test coming up, I believe, early January.
The money on litter crews, does it go back into the general fund?
Yes.
I knew that. So let everybody know that.
Okay, yes.
All right. If there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right,
Thank you, sir. All right. Sheriff Arnold.
That's for the next phase.
Must have missed the memo about the suit.
Huh?
Cheryl must have missed the memo about the suit.
My dry cleaning was out, so I didn't have a uniform. Well, thank you. Thank you. You guys are hard as well, dragging me about it. It's for her. Going through your list. Watch out.
I see your beard. How many folks are doing that in your department?
There are the entire SRO divisions doing no shave. I forget how many people in the jail. There's the vast majority. The vast majority of the officers are doing no shave in November. Till the end of November, and the way we did it was for $26 to United Way, $1 a paycheck. They bought their way around the policy for 1 month, and it was a hit. The women at the sheriff's office still have not come to me and given me their idea for their part of No Shave November, because
Maybe it's not shaving their legs or something.
well, that's what they said. They said maybe for a month they didn't have to shave their legs for this.
So with
So-
this shave, you have to shave the same day or same time?
Oh no! I mean, it's just for the month. You can just grow a beard if you'd like, or grow a goatee. And one thing for us, our policy says you'll be clean shaven, except for a mustache past the crease of your mouth. So to grow anything more than that, this is a special occasion for them. That's why they're all excited.
Okay. All we have for tonight is a report.
We have no amendments.
We have no amendments, so it should be
That
pretty easy
means
tonight.
there's not gonna be one coming out of public safety this month. That's unreal. But I think that's about a first.
First in a while.
Means we have a good budget, right?
Let's keep your head down come spring.
Exactly. Like we said, come January, February, we're gonna be back knocking on the
We're
door.
treading water, but we'll get there.
We're good for the next couple of months at least.
So, Mr. Russell, is there anything unusual anywhere that?
No, we've
Sure.
got all the same old problems that, like we've said, just about every meeting, I know that our utility's gonna be a problem come springtime, and probably the food. As long as fuel will stay down the way it's been, though, I think we'll be okay on that line item, so that's good news. I'm enjoying the cheaper gas prices.
You're allowed. Yeah. The one the phone.
On that third page, you've got some grants, things.
Well, down at the bottom,
No, I think it's the third page, the very last.
Oh, are you on the jail?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm in jail. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Excuse me.
And again, just to remind you, 307 and 317, we know that those are the two that come about January, February, we're gonna be knocking on the door going, we're out of money. But I prepared everybody for that during budget.
You're gonna read both these separate, Mr. Chairman?
Well, we'll do the report on its own, yes. We go, if anybody- So when you get zeroed down for the grants, that means that you
Well,
haven't
those-
applied for them?
Those are just left over from years ago that we haven't taken out of the systems, all those are.
Anybody have any questions for the sheriff's department on the report? If not, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So now, Sheriff's Office Stats Part 1.
Yes.
Is that what we have next?
Yes.
This is new, right?
Yes. As of last month, I informed you that I would be bringing other people with me to help with their different divisions and talk about their statistics and all that. So first, the detective division.
Gentlemen.
Major Bill Sharp, him and a couple of other guys just graduated SPI in Louisville, and this is really their, well, it's second week back.
Right. Appreciate you having me up here tonight. What I want to do is just give you a little breakdown on Criminal Investigation Division. It's going to be 2013 statistics since it's a year. Currently, right now, we have 21 investigators assigned to. That's including supervisors. Of those 21, one's assigned currently to the U.S. Marshal Service, and one is a grant position, which works domestic violence and adult sex crimes. The breakdown of right now is we have five family crimes, which is the domestic violence unit, and we have 10 general investigators. 2013, we had 3,001 cases assigned to the detective division. That's an average of 176 cases per detective. Now, that's not counting myself and Captain Haley. We do not, although we will answer calls and make phone calls when needed. Currently, or as of 2013, we had recovered $717,000 in property. Now, these next numbers I'm saying here, one assigned general investigator. Along with that dude, he is also an arson investigator. So he's actually carrying
property value?
things that were recovered. Yes, sir. Recovered value property. So these guys that I'm fixing to mention now, they are actually wearing two hats. He's a full-time arson investigator as well as a general investigator. So when he starts to work the arsons, his general crimes that happened in his zone will be tallied out to other detectives. We also have a general investigator assigned to crime scene investigator. We have a family crimes, which is domestic violence. She is our sex offender register personnel as well. That position right there is getting to the point that it's a full-time position. So, you know, it's hard for her to do the sex offender register as well as work her zone. And then we have another general investigator. He's assigned to missing persons and juvenile crimes. Right now we're averaging about 3 missing runaway juveniles and adults a month. Now, when I have no budgeted position since 2000, that's when we've not asked for a general investigator or a detective in the budget since 2000. The last two that came over were Detective Reed, Britt Reed, and Detective Hooker. But in 2008, we had Detective Knox. I call her, she is a detective now, but in 2008, she was a grant position, if that's correct, Joe. She was a grant position that helped out in evidence room. 2011, she went to the academy. She became certified, and we were absorbed her in as CID, and I believe the council approved that position then. So the last page, just to give a general idea, from 2010 to 2014, the number of cases assigned. Supplements, what that is basically the investigator making phone calls, going out, doing follow-ups on their cases. Arrests made and property recovered. 2014, those are just the stats from January to May, so they're not obviously fully complete.
So, do they investigate all crimes, including petty theft, or is it usually a...
We have to be
say
use
like
judgment.
shoplifting, you know,
Correct,
at a Dollar
correct.
General or something
Normally,
like
we
that.
do not assign those, or would be left to a supervisor to make phone calls to like a vandalism to a mailbox. We have to, and I don't want to say prioritized, because that's, you know, if you have a theft and he has a theft, and you know, how
Mine's the most important,
exactly.
right?
Each crime to a victim, that's the most important crime there. So we have to be selective. But yeah, they go anywhere from a theft to a homicide. And usually what happens on larger crimes, such as the homicide we had last December, is we'll bring out the unit. Or, you know, at least 6 to 8 detectives will come out and work. It's assigned to a lead detective, and then I'll have another detective assist. So for the duration of that homicide, those 2 detectives are doing nothing but that case. So their cases have to be picked up as well.
It's something that people that live in the county, though, do want to report it to you, no matter how small it is, because insurance, et cetera, all of that's going to
Correct.
play into it.
That's correct.
And plus, you can also, if the person so wants, they can call the sheriff's department to investigate a crime, even
absolutely.
if they live in the cities.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We service all people. And you'll see that on our crime map when we get to talking about that there are some things that we've worked inside the cities. This was just a general map I wanted to show you of each zone that we have and how big they are. And usually, and we'll get into that in patrol, but you have 1 detective per zone. Sometimes, you know, maybe
There's some that we'll have 2 detectives per zone. I try to on the larger zones that we have most of our activity in 9 and 8. We have quite a bit of activity there, so we try to get 2 detectives in those zones. Just for future meetings, we'll be able to break down and show you the number of burglaries, thefts, and sexual assaults and so forth.
So that's going to really, though, be important to the county commissioners,
Yes.
the ones that are actually in the county. And
Yes. And that's one reason why some of the crime maps I've started breaking down. We've taken this and then we've relaid the map and done it by county commission district. And some of y'all have gotten maps and some haven't. Those that haven't are usually inside the city limits, and so they're covered there.
I think I saw one in the newspaper too this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, stories and right.
Yeah.
You've got here an average of 176 per investigation.
Yes, sir.
Is that a large number?
That's a large number compared to many agencies our size, yes.
What would you feel more comfortable with?
Probably 100. I know that I can't specifically say how many the city works, but when we talk about numbers, it's quite a bit more than the city. You know, you have to take into consideration when you have a major crime come up, a sex crime, you know, rape, child investigation, homicide. Those are extensive, long-term investigations. And so as they work that case, the cases that are not reassigned are still going to some of those detectives, so it's a backlog. And it's not doing just to the citizens to not work it as thoroughly as we can.
Do you know what percentage of the property that's recovered actually gets back to the original owner?
I do not at this time, but I can surely research that information for you.
I can tell you we go above and beyond all links to try to find the rightful owners.
Yeah.
And then once we can't, if we've exhausted every avenue to find it, then we usually will have an auction, and that's usually where all of our stuff in our auction comes from.
The sheriff's.
The sheriff's sale on the sheriff's office side. and the judge orders it to be sold because we can't find an owner, and then that money goes back to the general fund. A lot of people think that that goes back to us, but that money comes back into the general fund because we can't find the owner. It's only the narcotics side, when we have that auction, goes back to the sheriff's office.
I'd like to encourage the citizens to take advantage of engraving their property, taking pictures of their property.
Copying down the
to
serial
help
numbers.
your detectives determine whether
Correct.
that's
Photograph
their
your-
property or not.
Yeah, photograph your property
Makes
as
it a lot
well.
easier.
But the detective division, they go through all of their cases and all that, trying to find out the stuff that we have, if it belongs to somebody. But a lot of times you'll have people that steal stuff from other counties, they bring it in here. We don't have ways to know where all this stuff comes from. I mean, just like the lawnmowers we got back last year, we had to go to Centrilla, Illinois to pick up 11 lawnmowers. So, and one of them was the mayor's actually at that time, because his got stolen. But he went all the way, that's where this guy was taking, everything he stole in Rutherford County, he was taking it up to the middle part of Illinois. So, that's all you have for him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
SROs.
For those of you that don't know that are new on the committee, this is Major O'Gwen, who's over the SROs.
Gentlemen, what you have in front of you is our statistics. We have 58 SROs, including myself and supervisors in 44 schools. The top sheet that you have is a detailed summary from the beginning of this school year to today's date. We didn't go back an entire year, we just went from the school year. And then below, you'll start at Barfield, and it has the individual stats for each school. We have 44 schools that we cover. We have 2 in every high school. Is there any questions about the stats or what they mean, or?
The count is the total.
The count is the total of all the schools combined. And then if you'll go to each individual school, each individual school will have its own. If you want to know what Blackman Middle is, you can turn to Blackman Middle School and it'll have its individual stats.
Then what's the sub?
The sub is when a sub was at the school and actually took the stat. When the SRO was out for that day and the sub was in.
Okay. So you're giving us some interesting bedtime reading, right?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, seriously, you got schools in your district, you're gonna be
Absolutely.
interested in them and what goes on there.
Yes, sir.
When we look through these, are we gonna find anything surprising that we wouldn't think? Like,
No,
I
sir.
mean, okay.
Well, it depends on what you find
Well,
surprising.
yeah, well, you know, they say certain schools you think of as being wealthier than other schools, and if you think
That has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still have an equal amount of incidents and a crime across. It seems like everything is so diversified now that it's equal across the board just about.
But overall, are your SROs pretty satisfied with being SROs?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
It's one of the best jobs at the sheriff's office.
We're seeing around the schools, there's a lot of events that are, they're not just always getting overtime, so.
We have a lot of things going on and they work hard, very, very hard.
Ironically, I used to say that when I was an SRO, I had the second best job at the sheriff's office. Sheriff had a better job just because he made more money. I can tell you now, as sheriff, I had the second best job at the sheriff's office. When I was an SRO, it was a whole lot easier.
Anybody have any questions about the SROs for Major O'Grady? can always contact them at the sheriff's office.
Call me anytime if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, one thing, with all of our statistics that we're giving you, some of them, these are what our computer system gives us. Our computer system is very antiquated. And actually, probably starting next month, and I've set it up before, we're looking at going to a new complete software system for the sheriff's office. We've gotten to the point where we're going to have one. But everything that we're giving you has numbers to it. It's the best we can do to produce what we've got. So it's what we think is the most accurate.
I'm Major Goff with the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, warrants, records, and property and evidence. We have 26 total employees, and there's approximately 26,000 warrants there right now waiting to be served. Some of these are several years old. Some of them are as brown as the table. They've been there a while. When you look at the criminal warrants served, starting in 2009, it'll be at the top right-hand corner of the page. You'll see 9910, and it goes, that's for 2009, and then 10,988. That's this year, and obviously it's not complete yet. We still got a few days left in the year. We prioritize from property crimes. We prioritize to other offenses against the person. We try to catch the bad guys first. We try to catch the property offenders second. Obviously, we've got traffic stops going on at all times. Officers could be coming in contact with these people. We have a total of 12 people that's actually out serving civil process and criminal warrants. And patrol will do it, SROs will do it. They'll serve a lot of different processes going throughout their regular normal day.
On a real good day, how many can they serve?
We average about 50 people being booked in criminal, and probably will be responsible, the sheriff's office will be responsible, probably 70 to 80% of those. On civil process, we've had as many as 15, 20 the first part of the shift, and sometimes you could get probably 30 or 40 if they're pretty close and zoned together.
It also depends on how cooperative these people are.
That's
Yes.
true.
Friday, there was somebody tried to run and
Yes.
took up half a day
Yeah.
trying to.
I said on a real good day.
Yeah. Those are few and far between, but we do have them every once in a while.
It's an extremely dangerous occupation, and when you knock on somebody's door, it may be the last door you knock on, including civil warrants. It's extremely dangerous as well.
It's just what, 2 years ago, they had a couple of officers in Metro get shot on the front doorstep.
Civil process is actually one of the jobs within the sheriff's office. It's probably if you could classify, or they classify, one of the more dangerous ones, because with civil process, you're going there to either serve them an order of protection, to dealing with family crimes, or you're going to take something from them, money, their house, their vehicle, and so those people are usually at home, and they usually don't want to give up whatever they have. And all across the country, I think that there are more civil officers within sheriff's offices that get killed in the line of duty than any other part of a sheriff's office, statistically throughout the country. So, that's all you have.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Next is Aegon Grissom with Patrol, and he's
Good evening.
another one of our SPI graduates as of a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, thank you, thank you. It was a long 13 weeks. I'm going to cover a few things tonight. Let me hand these things out to you first. We just kind of broke it down a little bit on things I thought might be interesting to you. Because my fingers ain't working right. Try to make it simple so that we can all understand it. Those sheets tend to get confusing. They do to me. I gotta read them. We missing any? Still got plenty. Other? Thank you, sir. All right. So what I did, I reviewed the statistics from 2013 and 2014 up to October, middle of November, where we're at right now to date. And then I reviewed 2006, 2006 being is the last time we got any increase in manning. The most important thing I think right now is the amount of emergency committals that we do. Is everybody familiar with what emergency committals is? That's when you go when something happens, you either go to the doctor to get evaluated mentally, and they tell you you have to go in to be committed into some kind of institution to be further evaluated, possibly. Or if somebody's suicide risk and we respond, and then we take them to get evaluated. And that's what that is. All right. In 2013, we did 957 of those. So we averaged about 79 a month. To date right now, we're at 1,057, which is about 96 a month. In 2006, we did 743 of those. Now, why this becomes important is because, first of all, we take them to approximately 8 different locations. And some of those locations that I listed on here, there's 2 in Knoxville, there's 1 in Memphis, and 1 in Chattanooga. The rest are either local in Nashville or in Lebanon. If we take them just to Nashville, the ones here in Murfreesboro are fairly easy. It'll take about an hour, so depending on the doctor. But if we take them up to Nashville, we have to take them up there, have to wait for them to be evaluated to see if they're going to take them or not. If they take them, fine, then we get to leave. But that takes about 3 hours. If they don't take them, then we got to bring them back. So imagine you take them to Memphis and they don't accept them, which has happened to us twice in 2 days now. I found out earlier. Which happens. So you're talking an all day trip. It takes definitely 1 deputy to do it. If they deem them to be hostile, which in most cases they do deem that, it takes 2. So that's taking 2 deputies off the road, or at least 1 deputy and 1 from detention. It takes it away from all this right here. And as you can see on our shifts, the way it's broken down, I got 16 on one, 16 on another, 17 on another, and 18. I got 4 different shifts. We're working 12-hour shifts currently, and 8 people in training. And those 8 people, it's going to take me 26 weeks to get fully certified or competent enough to go out there and be on their own. So that's an important thing, very important, and it's increasingly going up and going up. It's more and more and more. All right, the total miles that we drove and this is just patrol, only patrol. It doesn't count warrants, it doesn't count extraditions, it doesn't count all that. Just for patrol cars. 1,982,540 in 2013. We're already at 1,577,390 today, so we'll probably reach it around the same. Now you see in 2006 it shows 2 million, right? And the reason for that is you had a lot more area to cover. You had to go further because the county, the city extends out right now, so, and less people to do it. So they had to drive more. That's the reason for that. The primary calls in 2013 that patrol handled were 34,471. And to date, right now, we're already at 30,515. We still got 2 months to go. 2006, it was 27,692. Backup calls in 2013 was 11,254. And what a backup call is we have one deputy assigned to a zone when we're lucky, when we're fully staffed, when somebody's on vacation, not on FMLA, not sick or whatever. So let's say we have one per zone in 11 zones. If I'm going to handle domestic, I got to pull from another zone to handle that deputy. Because that's something you don't want to handle by yourself, ever. Safety for everybody involved. So that's what backup calls means. They're calling for backup. So as you can see, 11,000 times we had to call backup. Okay, in 2013. In 2014 so far we have 7758. Okay. In 2006 there was only 4,608 of those, or 88. Here's an interesting statistic that I found. It was interesting to me. Alarms founded. And when I'm talking about alarms founded, is an alarm goes off, there's actually a burglary involved. All right, in 2013 there were 7. Today, right now, we're at 8. For some reason, 2006 we had 54. I don't know why.
Again, we think part of our statistics with that.
It may be.
It may be. We're not sure. We're going back trying to pull and look.
But I do know for a fact from experience, when an alarm goes off, they are most of the time unfounded, which is the next statistic. Unfounded mean is wind blew open the door, they forgot to lock the door, they forgot to set it right, the dog set it off, whatever the case may be. Nobody broke in. We did that in 2013, 1,749 times. 2014, 1,524 times to date. 2006 it was 1,559, which that hasn't changed too much. But we do it a lot and often, daily.
That's just a waste of time, really.
Yes, that's a waste of time and gas, because let's say your officer is out here in this part of the zone and the call is over here. He's got to drive all the way over there to get there to find the wind blew open the door or the dog or the cat set it off.
Well, it's a waste of time when it's unfounded.
Yeah. But when it's founded,
charging the person for that after 1 or 2 times, because the way I hear it, some of these things become repetitive. People continually do the same.
They do.
Lack of
The
diligence.
county does not have what the city has. The city actually has a alarm fee. Ironically, there is a county commissioner who came to me without me even talking about this, because I've thought about this for a while, and said, hey, what about this and what do we need to do about it? And I was kind of actually going back and said, hey, we need to talk. I'll let you know, but we don't have a fee. The county doesn't have an alarm fee, and we don't have any ordinances set up. So
That's what we need to address.
that's on y'all's wisdom of how y'all do it.
That takes staffing. Somebody has to do that.
Yeah, somebody's got to.
Somebody's gonna have
What
to
I'm
do
saying is, if you're going to have an officer respond to this, then we bring money back into the department that would allow us to supplement the staffing.
Somebody will have to.
Yeah, the mayor. I kind of gave the mayor a heads up and asked him to look at what Murfreesboro City's doing, and so I think y'all might hear some more about that later on.
Are these from monitored alarms?
Yes, an alarm company actually calls the sheriff's office.
And these are people they can't get
Communication
in touch with? Are these people
That's exactly right.
People they can't get in touch with?
Right, if people don't answer the phone, or they give the wrong code when they do answer the phone. But most of the time, there's nobody home. Most of the time, it's somebody setting them off. But, just like I said earlier, if you're the one that has an alarm on your house, you would hope that we would respond, and we do that. But the point of this is it takes up a lot of time for us to do that, and it takes, if I got to go over here because this guy's busy on a call, and this is your zone's not covered, and that's the point.
Hopefully your new software can identify these.
Well, I think by doing a new software program and doing some things, if the wisdom of the commission looks at this and kind of goes forward with it, the new software program will be able to greatly help in this going forward.
Right.
Another thing that we do a lot of is motorist assist in the county and the city. Now, generally, these are not, they're not called. People don't call and say, hey, I need help. Generally, these are the guy driving by, somebody standing on the side of the road, cars parked. We check them out. You know, it's not good practice to drive by people. I wouldn't want somebody to drive by me, so we stop. But we do a lot of those. 1,862 in 2013, 1,728 to date. In 2006, we did 5,500 of them.
Maybe funerals also.
We do.
Funerals,
they're not.
I don't have that. You know, that's not what we call motorist assist. Is you're sitting on the side of the road out on Rucker Lane or something like that. I drive by and I check out with you. You're out of gas. You have a flat tire. You know, I might change it for you if we can, and we do that kind of stuff. This is a service we provide. But again, that's stuff that takes away. This is part of the service. Accidents of work and assist in 2013 was 1,653. 2014, 1,282 to date. In 2006, it was 712. So those obviously go up. As the population increases, you know, accidents increase. Depends on the weather and all that good stuff. Ambulance assists. We do a horrendous amount of ambulance assists. And what that means is ambulance gets a call about whatever it is, and we respond most of the time per their request. And that may be because they're too far away, we're closer, or they just need assistance in lifting people and so on and so forth. 2013 we did 3,886 and we're at 2,989 to date. Calls outside zone. This is a very high number, and what this means, again, as I explained earlier, if I'm in zone 9 and the guy in zone 7 is on a call, he's tied up, I got to send zone 9 to handle that second call. And this is how often it happens. 2013 we did it 10,431 times. So far we've done it 10,005, so we're going to pass that number this year. In 2006 it was 8,780. So those numbers increase. But that one just, you know, if you got one guy per zone, a lot of it's not covered during certain parts of the day, night, whatever. Any questions about any of those statistics?
Good job.
The other thing, the last meeting y'all had, somebody was asking about the ratios, population, officers. I wasn't here, so.
The ratio of what?
Officers per capita, per whatever. This I got from the International Association of Police Chiefs magazine, which they quoted the Bureau of Justice statistics. And what it shows is how many officers you should have per 1,000 residents. Now, the thing about it is the actual number of residents makes a difference. You got one? Okay, sorry. But what's important here? Oh, you got one? He got one. Okay. Has everybody got one? What's actually important here is that paragraph, that ratio data and agency staffing is. It says, where am I reading here? Ratios such as officers per 1,000 population are totally inappropriate as a basis for staffing decisions, according to them, because accordingly they have no place in the ISAP methodology, which is their methodology, not necessarily ours. Defining patrol staffing allocation deployment requirements is a complex endeavor, which requires consideration of an extensive series of factors and a sizable body of reliable and current data. And that's, we don't have reliable and current data in the county, in my opinion, to make really informed about what this is. Because depending on who you ask, depends on the population. You know, it just depends. It's really complex. But these are the basic numbers. So according to county mayor, the unincorporated was 88?
I called the mayor this evening. He said the unincorporated area was about 88,000 people.
Which make about 158 officers. Is there any questions about that?
So, regardless of what you just said about it being totally inappropriate, there is some data here. So what does this data say?
What's this data saying according to the national standards, United States?
Right.
Okay, what the National Chiefs of Police Association is saying is it's an inappropriate thing because it's more complex than just putting a number to it, is what they're saying.
Okay.
But the FBI standards, the Bureau of Justice gives these as a
So they're saying
guideline.
158. We currently have approximately 88 officers. Yeah.
And the reason I say it's complex because you got to consider, you know, if you're talking about total numbers versus what's on duty currently serving that number, makes a difference. So you can look at it all kinds of different ways.
And then I put the number up there on the top. It's 250,000 or more people. It comes out to 2.5 officers per, so that comes out to 750 officers total for the county.
That FT stands for full-time officers. Took me a minute to figure out
So this 158 that you've listed there would be
For the unincorporated areas of the county. Patrolling.
that's what would be in essence recommended by this chart.
By
what
this
we-
chart.
Yeah, no, by
No,
this chart.
we do not have.
By the
And you
Bureau of
said-
Justice.
And you said we had how many?
Approximately 88.
Yeah, 85, 88, something. Any questions? All right, the last thing that I'm going to cover, I'm going to do narcotics for obvious reasons. Narcotics guys don't want to get handed a camera. And I worked narcotics for 10 years, and I don't think he gave me enough copies.
Go ahead, Aaron, look.
I gotta have something.
You gotta.
I worked narcotics for 10 years, so I can ask y'all can ask any questions about narcotics.
Hey, Joe. Commissioner, can I get that copy and y'all, that way Commissioner Reed can have one?
Push Sharon.
Sorry.
Anyway, they have a total of 8 people, not counting the supervisor in charge. So they work extremely, extremely hard at this stuff. I know they do. I worked with them for a long time, and they're good people. And they work really hard for the amount of people they got because they cover the whole county. That includes all the cities. Includes Eagleville. Includes the whole thing. There's no boundaries. The drug stuff out there. To date, even though he put 2012 on here by accident, with 142 arrests, 282 total charges, 43 calls for service. They've seized 73 weapons. They've seized. Yeah, we'll make more copies. We'll get more copies. They seized $381,000, $381,374 and 72 cents.
Yeah, we all got different copies.
They all got different copies. He didn't
What
make
copies did you?
They all got
We got
different years.
2011 for one thing.
Well,
They got
let me back up.
2013.
Let me back up.
We got that.
Oh, you gave me all different years. I'm sorry. Give me the 2014 one is the one I need. That's the one I need.
I probably preached through this.
Sorry. There's 13.
13, 14. We'll just do 13. All right, estimated street value of narcotics seized, $1,111,540. They've dealt with 11 meth labs to date. They assisted other agencies 34 times. They've executed 75 search warrants to date, which is right on track, which would do about a year, close to 100. It did 93 last year. They seized 49 vehicles. They've seized $337,183, which
which is ahead of the ballgame from last year. 59 weapons, 46 calls for service, 45 misdemeanor arrests, 106 felony arrests, and warning tickets. The tickets are not important, but that's what they do. I mean, they had a meth lab today, residue of a meth lab out on Rocky Fork that we have to deal with. So along with all those things, the amount of people they got, they work really hard. Any questions about narcotics?
Who cleans those up when we get a meth lab?
Our guys are trained, our guys are certified. They clean up as much as possible. The meth task force comes out with their trailer and stuff and they pick it up. But our guys are, some of our guys are fully trained and they put it to suit. It all costs a lot of money.
And there's one thing, and Jason may know more, the governor's office, they may run out of money for meth cleanup come December. If you remember a couple of years ago, for those that were on the committee, we actually had a line item in our budget for meth cleanup because it was going to fall back on the counties to do meth cleanup. And then at the last minute, the state approved money for meth cleanup. So then we took that line item away. I don't know, has the state, have we heard any more?
I'm Jason Mathis. I'm the lieutenant at the Narcotics Division, Rutherford County. And to give you the answer to that, I personally cleaned up a meth trash lab. It was 2 one-pot meth labs, along with meth trash that was discarded on the side of the road on Rocky Fort Road today. And while speaking with the Tennessee Meth Task Force, they did advise me today that they just, within the last 7 days, got their funding to continue on through June. They were told by the federal government, as well as on the state level, that they were not going to fund them. In the event that that happens, I just want to tell you that if we start having to do that ourselves, what I've done today by myself probably still costs the taxpayers whatever it cost me to drive there, the equipment that I used, to package that. I'm actually certified and trained in taking those components down, and I can contain those until the Meth Task Force can get there to dispose of those. If we have to start doing that ourselves, it's going to cost us a minimum of $1,500 to $2,000 every time we get one, not counting any of the equipment that we use as officers. That's just the disposal fee. So it's very important that we keep those stats up to date and help the Tennessee Meth Task Force get their funding. But kind of give you guys another idea of these statistics, and I want you to just put this in perspective. How many people we have here, and like you said, we work the entire county. There's 8 of you sitting here, and there's 8 of us in my office. Imagine the 8 of you trying to work 7 days a week and combat narcotics in our county. And I'm here to tell you, it's everywhere. I've been in the schools over the last month. We're arresting multiple juveniles that are selling drugs inside the schools. Our pharmaceuticals have gotten way out of hand here. We've really seen an influx in heroin just inside our community. It's huge. So it's growing, outgrowing us at such a fast pace that my guys are working. I mean, they're working 20 to 30 hours a week overtime right now. I mean, that they're getting to the point where they're not seeing their families, they're not at home, and you know, we're basically running 7 days a week and running 3 shifts.
How do you coordinate your activities with the cities?
With the cities, we work together with them some. It being 2 different units, 2 different complete command structures all together. I mean, fortunately, we haven't walked on each other, but I mean, we also got to figure the city of Smyrna right now has 1 to 2 man narcotics unit that works day shift. Laverne, I think, has a couple detectives assigned.
Are you dealing
to those.
with issues inside the incorporated areas?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
You are.
It's I can speak for experience. There's so much out there that we rarely, at least I'm sure it's still the same way. We didn't run into the city guys very often. We didn't work the same cases. It wasn't on purpose. It's just that's the way it is. And there's plenty to go around. Believe me, plenty to go around.
You mentioned the meth cleanup today. You did it. How many been done this year so far?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. It looks like 11 is what we have documented meth labs, and that's going to be actual meth labs that were active and trash labs as well. And that's what we have documented. I mean, we probably could use a full-time unit that deals with just meth labs, because we don't actively go out and sweep the sides of the streets. You know, we rely on helping, you know, keep the trash crews trained to what to look for, what not to look for.
Today's
We
was
have
picked up by the
workhouse
crew cleaning the side of the road.
we have the Sheriff Citizens Academy, and we try to educate the people that come through the Sheriff Citizens Academy on what to look for when they're doing their walks, when it's nicer weather outside, or when they're driving around. And we ask people not to look at, you know, if they see something that's consistent with what they've been taught as a meth lab, to leave it alone and call us. We'll come out and investigate.
Was it last year or the year before that we had the most meth labs at one time clean up? Is it
We
last
hold
year?
the record with 101 pot, over 100 one-pot meth labs in Rockville, Eagleville area.
That was all in one day.
Where is the disposal site from?
The Tennessee Meth Task Force, I'm not sure exactly where, they actually have a container that they'll contain these items in, and once they get so much, they'll either have it come picked up or they will take it. The last place I knew of was in Birmingham, Alabama, that had an incinerator that was taking it. I'm not sure exactly where they're taking it now.
Yeah, they store it until they get, you know, because it costs so much money to transport stuff, so they store it until they get basically full, and then they call for the transport, then they go destroy it.
We're just happy to see it cross the county line.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it costs
It's
as
not
much.
kept in our county.
It costs as much for one meth lab as it does 20. As long as you have the container program, you can contain it all and dispose all of it at once.
Okay. Any other questions on narcotics?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Good job.
Any questions for Patrol, the map, or anything kind of stuff? He's gonna get copies so that you can.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
You.
Tom. Or no, it'd be OIT, I guess, if you're here.
Hi. It's the first time I got to sit at the table. How are y'all?
Good.
My name is John Frost. I'm with the Sheriff's Office IT, or Information Systems. That's what we call ourselves. I'll just go through this pretty quick, but we have a staff of two technicians. They basically handle all the work orders and any of the calls that come in. We have one operations administrator who handles all the budgetary darling expense, and she also handles she's kind of the work order supervisor as well. Project manager Paul Taylor, he's out, and I'm the director. We just recently started 2011 May. We merged away from OIT, and we're getting to the point where we're getting a very big office, and we need some inside help. So I'm just going to give you some rough statistics, which I apologize. I just have these today. I can email you copies if you'd like later. Right now we have a total of about 8+ networks at the Sheriff's Office and offsite of the Sheriff's Office. We have about 500 users on the domains. We have about 250+ devices, including computer desktops and laptops. Just recently we've got 90+ laptops out in the field that we've connected back to the building. And this is big for the patrol officers because they've never had this before. This is something we implemented. The sheriff, we've looked at several different vendors, and we got the rockets in the car, so the officers are actually connecting back in. They're utilizing some of the data that we're providing. It's cutting down a lot of the radio traffic too. 50+ workstations, and that's off-site. That's including your SROs, which all the schools, we have to provide all the computers for them. The courthouse, we have courthouse security, we provide computers for them as well. And juvenile detention, we have a couple officers over there. Tablets, 50+ tablets, mostly CIDs using those. We use those as well, and a couple of supervisors do. Just like y'all use quick access back into the building, lets them do what they need to do. We've got about 102 active rocket modems. Those are the modems that sit in the back of the patrol cars right now. And they not only give us tracking of these vehicles, they also give access back into the building, encrypted access back in the building, so they can look at the calls coming in. In the future, hopefully it will, whatever software we look for replacement-wise, it'll give us actually location suggestions. So if a dispatcher receives a call say like at 123 East Main, it'll actually find the vehicles on the map and say, hey, here's your closest guy, go ahead and send him. So that'll help out a lot, reduce radio traffic, and better response time. 26 plus servers, 5 firewalls, 1 email server, 1 spam filter. I mean, you name it, we got devices, and we all have to maintain those. The 2 techs are basically the front line. They take care of the problems first, and then they send it up the ladder if they can. And that's where Paul, Darlene, or I come in. That's where we take care of that. NCIC network, I'm sure y'all have heard of NCIC. NCIC is the National Crime Information Center database. And that allows dispatch and patrol to look up national information like criminal histories, etc. We've got that network that we maintain. The narcotics network, that's a totally separate network. We try to keep them as secure as they can be. The Prox card network, that's these let us in the building. DVR system, we've got about 250 plus on-site cameras at the jail that we have to monitor. Keep every close nook and cranny watched. Let's see here, patrol car DVR network. All the cars have cameras in them. We have to maintain all the DVR records for that. VisVox video visitation. We work alongside with the company that handles that, but we do have to provide at least some form of first response for that in case there's an issue, and that's been working out pretty well. And the door locking network, and that's for Central to open doors securely. But that's, as far as statistics are concerned, that's what we're looking at. Half a year's time, we've received about 1,100 tickets, and those are just email-related tickets. People coming in, sending us an email saying, "Hey, we've got this problem, or this needs to be fixed, or this is what we're wanting," etc. And that's just a half year's time. Again, I can provide you better once we evolve more, but that's where we're at currently.
We were talking about earlier about a new updated software program or process. How old is the one we have now?
We've been running it since 1998.
Wow.
And the problem with the software currently is it's only 32-bit compliant. Most operating systems that are coming out now, they're still providing 32-bit, but they will be going to 64-bit. And we're just going to be stuck at that point. We have to stay maintained as far as like security updates and all that. You know, Microsoft, that's what we use for our operating system, and we have to stay maintained and up to date on that per federal regulations. We also have HIPAA as well because medical's there, so we have to keep all those records as secure as possible.
All the cameras that you store, how do you store that DVR?
We have 4 DVR servers. As far as like the actual jail cameras are concerned, not the patrol cars, that's a totally separate server. The way that they operate is we have some areas that need to be constantly watched 24/7, and we have some areas that can, you know, just pick up motion-related activity. It depends on the recording time per those servers and cameras. The cameras, if you think about it, the cameras that record all the time, you're going to have less time of recording time. So you may have like 1 to 2 months, 3 months, you know, but we'd be good for about 90 days for those type of cameras. The rest of them, you could get a whole 7 to 8 to a year, but that's how we operate those, and we maintain those, and we have to replace those as soon as they go out.
But do you bank that, or?
Yeah, we do have a 4-server storage solution for that. And we can retrieve them as necessary. After that, they overwrite.
On all your laptops and computers, what version of software are you running for Microsoft?
We're running, well, just recently we had XP had run out.
All right.
And we had to upgrade to 7, so 732-bit is what we're running currently.
Okay. Any plans to go to 8?
I don't know necessarily about 8. We have downloaded and demoed 10.
Okay.
It's supposed to be coming out in April, I believe.
Right.
And it seems to be working pretty well. It's not that we don't have anything against 8. It's just it seems to be working better with our system. So.
Okay, so you want to stay at the current version of what comes out?
Correct, and we have to keep all the security updates up to date, etc. Patches.
Right.
Good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that things like TCIC and NCIC and so on, in order to be compliant federally and state-wise, you have to maintain those security updated, it's beyond what we normally have to maintain for an office.
Correct. It is on the level of HIPAA or greater for the federal portion of it. And we are audited. You know, they come in and audit us. Once every couple of years, TBI comes in and audits us. So we have to maintain that credibility with everybody in security level. And as advanced as everybody's getting now on their computers, it's getting rougher and rougher. Everybody's trying to hack.
Big thing to think about with this system is it was created and designed before AOL version 1.0, and I don't know where AOL is now, but that's how to kind of think about it. This was designed way back.
But the software we're looking at, again, it'll give you. We looked at multiple vendors, probably about a dozen, I think is the list that I've got at the sheriff's office. Competitive vendors, counties about our size, you know, the population, and as far as like what we need out of them, we basically requested, hey, this is what we need. We need mobile patrol functionality. We need CAD. Sent it out, and they basically came and gave us a proposal. So we're looking at a couple of vendors right now. But as far as that's concerned, I mean,
Your plan maybe is to look at something next year sometime.
Actually, no, we're looking in the next couple of months.
Did you plan on that before we set the budget?
No. Well, it had been talked about, but we knew that we were going to need to be looking at it. We've actually known we were going to be needing to look at this since 2011. It's taken us that long to try to get narrowed down to about 3 companies. I'm currently in the process of trying to get a grant through the 911 board that I sit on. They're the ones that gave us the grant for the hardware for dispatch. Hopefully they're going to provide the funding for our CAD system. And then at that point, we have some other avenues for revenue. All in all, by the time we get through, hopefully the county will just have to fund a little bit more than the jail management system side of it. So
that'd be cool.
We're looking, you know, all together, we're looking at the same price total package as what the previous clerk spent for hers, but hopefully the majority of ours will be paid for through other, just like anytime I've ever gone and needed to fix something, I'm going to find every bit of money I can outside before I come to you and go, hey, we need some money. And the mayor's been helping us quite a bit with it.
Very cool. Thank you.
thank
So,
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thanks, sir.
but yeah, that'll be coming up in the next month, probably. The man that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, my beard was black last week.
That's right.
A lot of salt and no pepper, huh? Yeah, I probably have more than we need. Well, my name's Tommy Thompson. I run the jail for the sheriff. I also have transport and the courthouse security now too. So since we're going to focus kind of on the jail tonight, I'll have some other stuff for you as we go through the months for some of the other things that I supervise. The first page here, I've given you 3 pages. The first page is just a snapshot of where we were at 7:39 this morning. You can see there's the inmate count was 844. Take this and look at it, you know, later on. It gives you a good breakdown of our population, different things with the population there. And let me get my glasses out too while I'm at it. A couple of biggies here that I think you look, 514 felons, 330 misdemeanors in the jail right now. You know, that's a pretty good ratio. And these are people who are in jail, obviously they're not on bond. And then sentenced and unsentenced. Look down here on toward the lower left hand part of the page. You'll see sentenced 414, not sentenced 430. Now those sentenced prisoners, we try to get them, some we keep and they do their sentences at the jail. Some we try to get in the State Department of Corrections system, but that's very difficult because the beds are limited. So we're on a waiting list with the state of Tennessee, and every now and then they'll let us send some prisoners, but we're stuck with them until then. And then the women are especially hard to get into the state system because there's only very few state prisons. And then you'll see then the workhouse is another place we send sentenced prisoners, but they have to meet a certain classification level because it's a low security facility. So anyway, I just want to give you a little idea of where we are there, and what I plan on doing is every month when we meet, I'll bring you that sheet for that day, so to give you an idea where we are. Let's look at the next page, if you will. Just a little quick summary of the detention division employee positions. Now, this does not include the courthouse security, but it does include transport. You'll see how it's broken down: booking 24, jail 91, maintenance 4, 1 part-timer, food service 8, administration 8 with 2 part-timers, transportation 11 with 1 part-timer, visitation and garden are 3 for a total of 149 full-time employees, 4 part-time employees in detention. We had a study done back in 2012 by the County Technical Assistance Service, which is a branch of the state of Tennessee. They looked at all of our workload and everything, and the number they came out with, well, I got it in here somewhere. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a PDF version and send this to you, gentlemen and lady, at some point. But the number they came up that we needed was about 194, I think, to meet the staffing. So we're understaffed according to the County Technical
Department
Assistance.
of Justice.
Right.
For those that were on this board, you got a copy. If you were on the commission, that was done through CTASC and the Department of Justice.
Right. So prisoners booked in the jail last year, an average of 42 a day. Booked in the jail this year, 3 today, and this was actually when I read the report about an hour before I came here. 44. So we're up about 2 a day this year over last year. Prisoner transports over 15,000, which is about how many people we have booked in the jail, you know, which makes sense. Although, you know, some of them are multiple transports because a lot of people bond out from the jail too. 11,000 to court. That new courthouse is going to help us tremendously when it comes online in a few years. Average daily population in 2014, 816. We had a high this year of 922. We had a low of 629. That 629 happened after we were able to get a large group to the state of Tennessee towards the end of last year. And what that did for us was give us the ability to renovate some of our housing units. Some of y'all might have seen about it in the news but anyway, so as you can tell, the jail population fluctuates greatly depending on the season. It depends on any initiatives that may be going on locally. It depends on fugitive roundups that we might have. It depends on many things. So that number fluctuated greatly for us. Let's go to the next page. Now, as y'all know, about a week and a half ago, I was interviewed about how we do our inmate meals at the jail by Channel 17, and they actually came out, I believe it was a week ago, last Monday. No, it aired last Monday. They came out about a week and a half ago. You want to know how we did it, and apparently there was a concern about us using disposable styrofoam trays to feed our prisoners. So we kind of put our heads together here, and I want to give you a little breakdown and go through this third sheet for you there. It costs us $3.06 to feed a prisoner every day. Okay, now that's $1.02 a meal. Which is fairly efficient. The calorie count is about 2,400 calories a day. The menu is approved by a dietitian. We submit the menu at the start of the fiscal year, and the dietitian approves it and sends it back to us. My understanding is, and I've been here about 1.5 years, so I wasn't here when we remodeled the kitchen, but my understanding is that the way we do it with the trays was modeled after Oakland High School, I believe. And I believe some of the high schools are using disposable trays, if not all of them in the county. Our trays cost 9 cents a piece. They're styrofoam hinge lid trays. Now, I did ask the county schools for a list of what they pay for their things, and I've got the list. I haven't sat down to see if it's something that we can use. Now, our kitchen manager, Sergeant Lloyd, priced biodegradable containers with hinge lids, and you'll see why we need them as we go through the presentation. And they were about 3 to 4 times the cost. So it would be more expensive to go with something that's biodegradable. So the annual cost for our trays, based on a population of somewhere in the high 800s, would be about $87,000 is what we spend on trays. Now, why do we like the trays? Well, one reason is they can be used as weapons by the inmates. As you can see, I've got you a picture here of one of the trays. They're pretty thick, made out of plastic. I've talked to officers who have worked in institutions that use them. And they can be broken, they can be, people can smack each other over the head with them. Because of the setup in our jail, I know there's a question about cafeteria. It said cafeteria on the agenda. We don't have a cafeteria. We have half of our prisoners eat in their cells. So there's 2 prisoners each in their cells eating, while the other half are out in the day rooms adjacent to the cells eating at the tables. We don't have enough tables for them all to eat together. Yes, sir.
And let me go into the design of the jail. Originally, the design of the jail was to house 25 people per pod. So there's 25 seats downstairs for people to eat at. We're now housing 50 people per pod. So right now, top row gets to come out and they sit down at the tables. The bottom row eats in their cell, locked in their cell. So that's one reason why we have to do what we do, is because it was designed a different way than what we're housing right now.
Can you switch that around?
No, there's not enough room. There's not enough room in the pod. You've been in the pod to add another 25 seats.
No, I'm saying, do you switch the ones that are eating in their cells one week, do you switch them the next?
Every once in a while, one of the officers might take their own initiative to do that, but most of the time, bottom row eats in their cell, top row eats outside.
A lot of times, it's easier to collect the trays when they're bringing them out of the cells from the bottom than the top. It just is more efficient to do it that way.
I mean, you really didn't want anybody walking up and down the stairs with those trays, because if they trip, fall, you got a mess, and so it's just easier to let them walk right on back in their cell.
Right. So the fact that half of our inmates eat out of sight and sound from us, we can't monitor them eating. That's a concern for us, giving them something that they could hurt each other with.
You're talking about regular trays, not the styrofoam trays.
Yes, if we had regular.
Yes, right. Another issue
like
is
those that you just showed us.
Yes, sir, like these right here. There, you can pass that around if you'd like. And that's just one example. There's other examples. Those probably work best for us because they stack on top of each other and kind of self-insulate.
That's what we used to have.
Right.
Do we not have them anymore?
No.
Okay.
Some went over to the workhouse. Some went to the garbage because they needed. Even if you have those trays, you're replacing them all the time because they get tore up in the wash. They get tore up by inmates, so you're constantly having to replace them. So whenever we remodeled the jail, stuff either went to Clark Iron and Metal or it went to the dump.
And you're talking
or it went
basically
to
a year ago when we redid the kitchen.
When we redid the kitchen. And then a lot of other stuff went back to the school system. We gave a lot of stuff to the school system, tables, machines, that we knew that we were not going to be needing.
Another issue that we have with giving them the trays is the fact that we have 2 officers on a housing unit floor monitoring 200 inmates. So if something happens, and when something happens, one of those officers sits at the screening station and can't leave. The other officer responds if we're breaking up an inmate fight, and we have them occasionally, regularly maybe. He has to wait, or she has to wait until the cavalry gets there, so to speak, from other floors, from other places. It might be me coming from outside the jail coming up to help. And so the fact that we're very limited in our response, and a timely response, especially if it were something that we couldn't observe anyway, is another reason why we really don't, we really are against giving them these trays to use, since we can't monitor them.
The non-disposable trays.
The non-disposable trays, yes, sir.
And like Tommy said, he wasn't here at that time the big thing was, at that time, it was a decision that was made by all of us throughout the county as we were designing it, to follow the model of the school system, to go the trades. So some person wanted to stir up this whole thing that we're doing. We as a county are doing it. That we're not doing anything any different than other county agencies. I think that this is the model that we have, and to go in another direction, Tommy's got that information, if you were to choose, and like I said, up to the wisdom of the commission. Yes, sir.
I had the opportunity to go visit the cafeteria here earlier last week. And
the kitchen.
The kitchen.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
The kitchen. Yes, it's definitely not a cafeteria. And you know, in addition to these, I saw some issues that I think one of them, it looked to me like the trays are about 4 to 1 almost in size. And of course then you've got the weight factor, so you're going to have bigger carts. That means more OJI pushing those carts around, or having some kind of electromechanical device to haul them around. You're going to probably have a bigger dishwasher. And also then, if I think you may be pointing this out later on down here, but you're going to put more moisture in there. And the storage of the carts, I'm not sure where you're going to put those additional carts unless we build a bigger kitchen, which I think was discussed previously a couple of 3 years ago. But unless we're going to build a new kitchen and make it bigger in order to have room for that, then we're talking about capital outlay and lots of dollars. Those are just my observations.
The Tennessee Corrections inspected us in July, and we passed with flying colors. They were very impressed, and so much in fact that when the new sheriff's school took place this year here in Murfreesboro, they had part of the new sheriff's school the second week of it. There were about 30-something sheriffs that were brand new.
33 new sheriffs.
Brought them over and toured our facility. But one of the things they recommended is kind of what was recommended in this report, that county officials provide funding for needed staff to man the second tower. So we have 2 towers. We have 2 areas we could monitor the prisoners, but one is vacant. One end is vacant, and all that's done by remote on the other end of the room. So just another agency talking about how we probably could have better coverage on our inmates, and so that just makes that's why we're concerned about giving them something they can smack each other over the head with, frankly. As you look down the list, you can see some other costs. I mean, we totaled it up $133,000 for switching. If we did, you know, these are course estimates. I mean, we're trying to put this together. And then there's some associate costs, and we've got the water bills going back several years now, and now we had a little problem with some water bills a year or so ago because of a faulty meter. But before that ever came into play, several years ago, our water was about double. Our water bill was about double when we were washing trays as what it is now. So that's just another factor. We would be running the dishwasher 16 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day. One thing that I didn't know until I was talking to my staff about this is back when we were doing these trays, it took us about an hour and a half to serve the meals. And the prisoners were complaining that the food was cold. It's hard getting the trays like you were talking about to the elevator. We have one elevator, we can run them up and down right now. And with the styrofoam, we can get them done more quickly, and we can get them up to the store. And I'm told by my kitchen manager that we can feed 950 people in about 30 minutes, which is pretty good, which is very good. They talked about OJIs, the correctional officers pushing the carts. I was told that happened. People would strain shoulders and things, and you know, we talked about FMLA being an issue with folks taking, getting hurt, taking off work. Of course, this would be OJI, but be something similar. We would lose part of our staff to injury for a part of time. So, so for all those reasons, that's why we would submit to you that the system we've got right now is good. Now, as a taxpayer here in Rutherford County, would I like to recycle this styrofoam? Absolutely. I know a big issue with the mayor, with all of us in this county. The mayor is bringing it. It's something he's going to be working on. Is our landfill, stretching our landfill out. I did some checking. The nearest place that I could find where we can recycle food service styrofoam, and it has to be clean. You can't have any specks on it before they do it. Is Chicago, Illinois. Now there are places in Nashville they won't take food service styrofoam. I did a little research, and there's different methods of doing it. Some of it they heat it up, and some of it they grind it up, and they make kind of foam logs or whatever they call it. I forget what they do, and that's how they use it before they recycle it. Sometimes they use them in roads. Sometimes they use them, to make other styrofoam. And I would submit to you that might be something our county would want to do. I don't know what they're using at the schools, but might be something as a county we might want to look at, just doing it ourselves and letting the inmates either at our place or at the workhouse operate it. We could be a model for other counties here in the state. Just a thought. That's just a thought. I don't want to.
Going back to say that,
Right.
we've been the model for a lot of other sheriff's offices throughout the state, and other counties have come here to look at us at what we're doing. A lot of times, we're the first to do anything. I like doing that. We've done several pilot projects that have turned into long-term programs for us, and then turned into programs for other sheriff's offices throughout the state.
Questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The meals that you are serving at the jail, are they prepared on site?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We do everything from scratch. I didn't mention that. We bake all our own bread. We bake white bread, wheat bread, dinner rolls,
hamburger buns,
hot dog buns, biscuits, cornbread. It's all done right there on site. We try to stay a day ahead of time. The kitchen smells wonderful when you come in there when the bread's baking. I think it costs us about 30 cents a loaf. What is it, Sergeant? Did I hit it right? Good deal. She trained me well. 30 cents a loaf is what it costs us to make bread. And the inmates, our kitchen workers, it's done by inmates on the supervision of our staff. But all the meals are prepared there. We have a food vendor, so some of the stuff might be pre-prepared, like chicken patties or things like that, and then some of the stuff, mix up the recipe and cook it, like beans or something like that. We do have some special meals we serve. For instance, kosher meals would cost the county a little bit more money.
A lot of money.
We've got one right now we're dealing with there. When Ramadan comes, we have some Muslim inmates. We serve them before sunrise and after sunset. We double their portions since they're fasting during the day. We also have a lot of diabetic meals, a lot of low sodium meals. It's very, very complex when you're feeding about 850 people every day. But our folks do a great job doing that.
The one thing to remember too about the bread is before we built the kitchen, we were purchasing our bread and we were spending about $1 a loaf of bread. And now we've got it, we're producing it ourselves, and those that have had it, it's a lot better quality, and now we're doing it for 30 cents a loaf.
Plus during the warm weather months, you get vegetables from the garden.
Yes, actually, and I had that to give y'all, and I left it on my desk of the breakdown, and I'll have it next month of our vegetables. I'll have it with me on the radio this week.
And we work very well. There's a professor at Middle Tennessee that comes out to our jail during the growing season on Mondays.
Dr. Phillips.
Yes, and works with our officer and the inmates, and they've learned a lot from them, and they bring students out. Yes.
MTSU uses it as a classroom, so it's a great partnership between us and MTSU.
Right.
So you grow every year.
Yes, and we're in the process of redoing some of the things to find what Sergeant Lloyd can use better in the kitchen. The one thing too, the myth that's been out there that it all has to be USDA approved. According to TCI, no, it doesn't. There are not any regulations, Tennessee Corrections Institute, of that has to be USDA inspected before it goes into the jail. It's the same thing as you get out of your garden or you buy at the farmer's market. So there's no difference.
It works out well. Once or twice during the summer, every prisoner will have a fresh tomato on their hamburger, maybe one night. Or I think we gave them watermelon when we had a good watermelon harvest. They all got some watermelon. A little taste of home for somebody that's, you know, that's missing it. So it's a good thing. And our folks are learning skills they can use when they get out, too, by doing it.
Eating utensils?
Yes. Yes. And that was an issue that we talked about. They have plastic cups that they're issued, and they're reusable. They drink, it's a powdered nutritional drink. It's kind of like Kool-Aid, but on steroids, I guess, if you will. And it's got vitamin fortified. That's a better way of putting it. Yes, thank you, Sheriff. And so that's what they drink. Now they'll get some milk with breakfast. But they have a reusable cup. We also issue them a spork. And it's not like the spork you get at Taco Bell. It's a short one, a little bitty orange rubber thing, and I didn't bring it, but it's about this long, and it's got a thumb grip, and that's what they eat with. And then we have some prisoners that unfortunately are suicidal or having those thoughts. We give them a cardboard spoon that folds up to use. It's disposable. So yes, we do have the things that go along, but the only thing really going in the trash would be the trays. Everything else is reusable, collected and reissued.
And the food that they don't eat.
Exactly.
And if you remember, for those that were here, whenever we had the kitchen and you would send the trays up, well, then you had to wash them all. And the big thing that we had was all the grout was gone in the tile. All the pipes that were laid for the kitchen were rusted out. And you had all this food matter that you had to deal with. And now we just, as they get through, they throw it away, we pitch it out, and then the county comes and picks it up and hauls it off. So we're not having, the moisture problem was our biggest problem with the kitchen. And that's why we designed this kitchen not to do that. Our dishwasher is a small dishwasher for the pots and the pans, not for trays. So that was the wisdom that we went with when we designed the kitchen.
So in essence, the food on a regular reusable tray would be going down into our sewer system to be reprocessed.
Correct.
So you add some kind of solids or BOD to the process.
Yes.
Right.
To the system.
Right. We also found out that when the jail was first made, everything wasn't
up to
snuff.
Yes.
That was some of the same problems that we've had with our schools in the past too, with our kitchens. I grew up in a school kitchen. My mother was a school manager in the kitchen for 35 years, so I know a little bit something about them too. And that was a major problem, was the dishwashing and the trays were always something. And I can understand every bit of this. I know what students do with trays. I can imagine what prisoners would do with them. I can see every bit of that. So that makes some good sense that you have there. And you said Oakland's is using this process there too.
Most of the county schools are using the same process.
And it makes good sense.
Just to summarize, you're saying that the annual cost of the styrofoam trays is in excess of $87,000.
If we averaged 880 prisoners every day of the year, that's what it would cost us.
And so that's the annualized cost.
Yes,
so
sir.
To go back to another tray, what you've given some cost here, but I'm sure just to replace the trays is going to be $133,000 every year.
No. That would be the cost initially. That would list everything under here, and then the added cost would be replacing the trays that break or warp or are broken. I guess they wouldn't break themselves; they'd be broken. And obviously, if our concerns about security were answered, you know, you would have to add in the cost of additional people, things like that, to do this.
But also redesign the whole kitchen.
Right.
Space.
Space.
Right.
I mean, this kitchen was not designed for regular trays. So you need a whole new dishwasher. You know, there'd be a lot of redesign.
I got 3 questions for you. Inmate labor, do you use it in the kitchen now?
Absolutely.
Do they make the bread
We
and
couldn't do
everything?
anything without.
Absolutely. We have about 12, how many do we have on each shift, Sergeant?
We have 15 males right now and 14 females.
Okay, the males do breakfast and lunch, then they go to bed, and the women come in the early afternoon or right around noontime, and they do dinner under the supervision of our people. Now, inmate labor, the advantage they have, and it's really a privilege to do it, is they get 2 days for every day. So if they've got, say they've got a 100-day sentence and they're an inmate worker, they get out in 50 days. So it's a good perk for them to do that, and they have to behave themselves when
Yeah,
they do it.
probably
Yes.
do a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
Plus, you would, if we didn't have the inmate labor, the county would be on the hook to supply that.
I'm saying, then it wouldn't, if you had trays or pushing.
They would
and
be
were
pushing them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's
Absolutely.
not gonna really save you anything more.
I don't think so.
They wouldn't
No.
be pushing them up to the tower, or to the inmate level. They would be setting up the tray and then getting them to the door for the officers to take upstairs.
The other thing that Channel 17 report said that the other counties in the mid-state basically were all using trays and all. How is that more functional for them and not for us? How do they come out better? Or they must think they're coming out better at least.
Well, that's kind of wherever their layout was laid out for their jail, for their cafeteria. When we designed our cafeteria, you know, our kitchen, we designed it for styrofoam.
Okay. My third middle point, you know, it's the highest piece of land in Rutherford County right now. Nothing's taller.
No, it's second highest. It's
No,
1 foot.
it
It's
passed
1
it.
foot.
I thought it passed it.
They didn't want to redo the topographical map, so it's 1 foot.
Okay.
I used to work out there.
All right. Well, the thing is we estimate roughly probably 10 more years, something in that neighborhood. Is that right, Mick? And when that finishes, when it's through, and if we got to start transporting, and we're looking into trying to find something else, but all the other counties in Middle Tennessee are going to be in a world of hurt. But we're probably going to be more so because right now
We're
we've
not
got a
set
free
up for it.
landfill,
Yeah.
and that's why we got the styrofoam. Why it's such a big thing, and the same thing with the school system, not just with the y'all. It's because it's going to fill it up if we keep going out there.
And that's why
Maybe
That's why we
So I'm
brought up about the
suggesting maybe we
recycling.
want to think a little differently and do some of our own recycling and get our citizens doing it. I mean,
Well,
it's,
we've been working, and we
Right.
are working on it. That's probably the biggest job that Deputy Mayor Davidson has right now, is to find us solutions.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And he's been working on it.
absolutely, absolutely.
But the big thing for this is, it comes back to the wisdom of the commission. If y'all want us to switch and go another direction, it's gonna cost.
Did you have the price of the biodegradable trays?
She priced them. She said they were about 4 times as much. Now I have not.
About 36 cents?
That was roughly. I don't know exactly what they were, but
$58 a case, there's 150 a case.
okay,
It's $16 for 200 a case now.
okay. So about 4 times. Yes, that would be about right.
Right now it's 27
Tell me
cents
that
a
again.
day.
I'm slow this.
We pay $16 a case for 200 trays. Biodegradable trays are the cheapest ones we could find were $58 and there were 150 in each case.
They would be accepted. The biodegradable would be accepted.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to do it.
You could use them just like the styrofoam.
Absolutely. That'd be great. I would love it.
To use.
Would you be willing to recycle?
Oh, we recycle.
We recycle, yes.
We recycle
yes.
everything we can. I recycle pallets.
Not the styrofoam.
Well, no, we haven't, because we
Everything
couldn't.
but that.
We
Yeah, no
recycle
place.
everything but that.
Right.
We don't have
If-
the facility.
We don't have, yeah.
Commissioner, if the styrofoam company I saw in Nashville would take restaurant styrofoam, we'd use inmate labor. We would rinse those babies out so clean you could eat off them again, and take them up there and recycle in a heartbeat. Absolutely, absolutely. We recycle everything else out of that jail.
And that's what we use to fund the garden, is all of our recyclables that we never did before. We threw it all away.
More questions for Major Thompson?
Can I give you one piece of good news before I go, not related to the kitchen?
Okay.
We have a $159,000 full image body scanner that used to be at the airports, the ones they used to use at the airports, you know, that people got concerned about because they were a little too. Well, anyway, we got one sitting in our Sally Port waiting for the company to come help us set it up. We're going to put it in booking. It's going to help us with our prisoner security. And all we had to do was pay the state of Tennessee GSA. I think their bill was $2,800. We had to pay, well, we didn't have to pay for the shipping because another jail got ours brought with theirs, and then we've got to pay the company about $3,500. But it's going to make our place safer because it'll help our search of the inmates.
That's the type that's going into the new court.
No. This is the one you stand in with your arms up.
Yes.
Just like the airport.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And so we'll hope to have that online in the near future. I'm waiting for the company to call me back. But that's going to be another way we can make our jail a little bit safer for our officers and the other
You won't have,
prisoners.
as you've seen on different reports, you've had cell phones get up into the prisons. You had different contraband. This will help us reduce our contraband quite a bit every day, because we have inmates that leave and come up to the courthouse, come back. We have outside trustees that work around the facilities every day. So every time they go in and out of the facility, they will have to go through the body scanner. So if they're carrying anything, we'll catch it.
Let me just try to summarize again. 87,000 plus bucks a year for styrofoam trays.
Yes, sir.
And it would probably be quadruple that if we went to biodegradable trays.
And it may not. It would depend on the county. It would depend on the county school system what kind of price they could
just
get.
A simple guess.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
So it would cost us $350,000 or more to go to biodegradable trays.
Yes.
So at some point in time, we'll have to make a decision as to whether we want to go to biodegradable for landfill purposes, or stick with styrofoam and probably pay some premium to haul them off someplace and to someone else's landfill at some point in time. But to go to anything but a disposable tray, according to what you guys are saying, is not an option, and it's not anything that we plan on doing. Correct?
It's not the wisdom of the commission or what we have set up. We would have to change our complete operation.
That's right.
To go in another direction.
So the answer is yes. You don't have any plans.
We don't have any plans to go in another
correct,
direction.
That's correct.
You know, if we want to sit down when we come up to budgetary times and decide we want to go in another direction, I'm all ears. But right now, currently, there is no change in our operation.
Okay, thank you.
We need to look to biodegradable from the standpoint if we can get it recycled.
It still fills up the landfill, just to let you know.
It just disappears later.
It turns into methane.
Well, there might be a way you can send it to California and let them burn it, since they have laws, environmental laws, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We voted to
No, we haven't. We can do it. Did we?
We did surface report, didn't we do
I
that?
thought
No, I don't
first
think
we
we
did.
did.
We didn't.
No, they're saying it didn't. I don't think we did.
I thought we did, because then we said about the stats. Well, we didn't, okay. We have a motion to approve the sheriff's
Make a
report.
motion to approve.
Oh, wait, we did, I'm sorry.
we did?
Okay.
We did.
You sure?
We did?
Cool.
Thank you.
Because the other part was just the stats.
Thank you.
So we're now adjourned unless somebody.